Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Love of the Time of Quarterbacks. This is handicapping week 7 in the NFL, and it finally happened. Week 6 was not kind to us. We had our first losing week of the season. We went 2-3. We were down 1.25 units. Obviously not horrible, downturn. It's not the end of the world. I said there'd be losing weeks. There's going to be. I still think we were on the right side in the Dolphins game. They were the better team in that game. Touching that receiver down to allow them to kick the game-winning field goal is just one of the most boneheaded things in the world. It does, to me, speak to the coaching, though, because you don't have Byron Jones or Xavier Howard there, so how are you not explaining to your guys, if that ball is in the field to play, don't tackle him until the time is up. Don't touch him until the time is up. But that's neither here nor there. That's me complaining because I'm a Dolphins fan, and they should have won the game, and I was more disappointed about the loss than I was about the losing the actual play. Was happy to have played really well. Was very happy with him. Thought he did a lot of things well. I thought there were a few drives. I thought most of the second quarter he had some questionable drives, and the first drive in the third quarter I didn't love. But aside from that, I thought he was very good, to be honest with you. I won't take up too much of your time talking about the Miami Dolphins. Let's get into the action. So this week I have 3 sides and my usual 2-unit 7-point teaser. The first side I am on is the Carolina Panthers at the New York Giants. The Panthers are giving up 3 points. You can get even money at 5 dimes right now. I am playing this for 2 units. Early on, the Panthers started really hot. They were very good. And then they were horribly overvalued. And now I believe they're undervalued. They're a much better team than the Giants. They're going to be able to pass on the Giants. They may not be able to run super well, but their best running back's out anyways. I wouldn't be, betting too many Chuba overs this weekend. But I do think that Carolina is a really good play here. They've got a number of decent receivers. Sam Darnold has definitely regressed the last couple of weeks. But I think that can be said, part of that can be said to the fact that he's had actual competition. And the Giants aren't really that, specifically in the passing game. Their front seven's pretty solid, but their secondary is horse poo. And I think that Carolina is going to be able to score on them pretty easily. Their best offensive weapon is out, obviously, with Saquon being out. They're also missing Kadarius Toney. They're also missing Kenny Golladay. So their offensive options are going to be pretty limited. On top of that, Carolina has a pretty high pressure rate, and Daniel Jones, if you look at his QBR and just his production in general, when he's not pressured versus when he is pressured, he goes from being a decent quarterback to being just atrocious. So I think Carolina is going to use that to their advantage. They're going to have more pressures, knowing that they're not worrying about a guy like Saquon, and they're not worrying about Tony, and they're not worrying about a lot of guys. So I think they're going to pressure more. Andrew Thomas is out, and he's actually been playing really well. He had a bad year last year, and everybody was jumping all over that pick. Most of the pundits were ignoring how bad the Austin Jackson pick by the Dolphins was, because Andrew Thomas went much, much higher. But he's been really good this year, so they're going to miss him. And I think it's going to allow Carolina to get even more pressure, and I think that Daniel Jones is not going to have a great game. I think Carolina is going to walk this pretty easily. I also like Philadelphia getting 3 points at Las Vegas. The Raiders are a mess. The Raiders were bet into a really good spot last week against a really bad team who was in a worse spot than them. And so I think that they're getting a little too much value this week. That team is still an absolute mess. And for some reason, I cannot figure it out for the life of me, they do not use Darren Waller the way that they should. Darren Waller is as far as receiving ability, aside from Kelsey, I don't think there's a better tight end as far as, ability to be a receiver and make big plays than Darren Waller in the entire NFL. The guy is a wide receiver who plays tight end, and he's not like Mike Gesicki where he's a terrible blocker either. Blocking is not his strength, but he's not Gesicki bad. So the fact that they just don't use him as much as they could, because whenever they do, they're effective. And same with Miami with Gesicki. It just blows my mind. These teams can't figure out how effective it can be to have mismatches with a tight end. And pretty much anybody Waller goes up against, he's a mismatch. Linebackers can't run with him. Safeties have a hard time tackling. I mean, there's maybe a few safeties in this league who can be strong and physical enough to tackle him easily. And I mean, corners can run with him for sure, but there's no. I mean, tell me there's a corner in the league who can match with him physically. You'd have to double team him in that situation. So the truth is, he's a mismatch against anybody. I don't understand why they don't use him, and they don't. So I don't believe in the Las Vegas Raiders. They started out well, then they pooed their pants, and they had an easy one last week in a game where they were severely undervalued. So I really like Philadelphia. I think that they have, their defense has been decent. They have been, staying in games, and they're a much pluckier team than we gave them credit for at the beginning of the season. And so, yeah, I think Philly's definitely a live dog in this. I'm not taking the money line because they're on the road. I really think worst case here is a push. I don't see the Raiders being able to beat them by more than a field goal. You can currently, the best number you can get with +3 is -109 at 5 times right now. So I'm playing this for 1 unit. And my last side is the last game of the week is San Francisco -4 hosting Indy. Indy's a bad team. I don't think people realize that they are not a very good team. They're banged up in a bunch of bad places. Their offense is really discombobulated. I know they lost Paris Campbell for a large amount of time. I'm not sure if it's the whole season or not, but I'm 99% sure he just went on IR. Not that he's a monster big deal, especially with Hilton back and Hilton looking pretty good last week. But it's just another option that they've lost. They don't use Mo Ali Cox enough, and when they do, again, he's very effective. It blows my mind they don't use him, but they should. And if they got smart and started using him, I'd think better things about them, but they don't. So I like San Fran. I think San Fran with Jimmy G is a much better team. I mean, down the road, absolutely Trey Lance is I think is going to be a much better quarterback. But what you're getting out of Trey Lance this year is not a lot. And Jimmy G is more, less mistake prone. He's not going to do anything great, but he doesn't make, those boneheaded mistakes and things like that typically. He knows how to run Shanahan's system really, really well. And that just makes them a much, much better team. San Fran is getting healthier. And let's not forget how well they played Arizona. They were in that game. They probably should have won that game. But, talent wins out sometimes. And like I said, they were injured and so I think 4 points is a small number. I had it at 5.5, so I think there's a ton of value there. And I think they're going to steamroll Indy pretty good. So I'm playing that for a unit. You can currently get it -104 at Pinnacle. So that's the play that I would take there. And lastly, my 7-point teaser. It's a 2-unit teaser as always. Last week was the first one we lost. This year it's been very, very beneficial for us. And again, I usually just stick to the general rule of finding the games that I like where I can move through the key numbers. So for me, the first one is New England hosting the Jets. New England would have made my card if I'd made this video in time to get 6.5, but it's at 7, and I won't give away the hook like that and make that an official play. I still like New England -7. I think they're gonna just smash them. It's not so much a belief in Mac Jones, who I think is average and very good for Belichick's system, but just an average quarterback. It's more an indictment of the Jets. I just don't think that they've been great. I think that I think they thought Wilson was going to be a stud, and I think that after that one game against the Titans, everybody thought Wilson was going to that was his coming out party, but it hasn't been. He's been bad again. Their offense is not great. And I think that these two teams are going in very different directions. The Patriots are looking better every week, which makes sense with the Belichick team. He had a bunch of new guys. He's got to fit them into the system, and he is doing that now. They're still going to be a 7-win team max, but they're way better than the Jets, who are going to be a 3-win team probably. So I like New England moving the line from -7 to even there. I'm also playing my Miami Dolphins again. Like I said, I really believe that they were the right side last week. They were the better team. They should have won that game. I think there were a few things that went the wrong way. I do believe that on that kick, the ball did touch his hand. His finger, if you watch the replay, his finger moves back. The Dolphins get a touchdown there. They win that game. And it's over and they cover, and we're not having this conversation right now, but even so, regardless of that, which isn't a word, but even with that, they still should have won the game. They were the better team, but they didn't. And I also hate that decision on fourth down of taking the ball out of Tua's hands. Tua had been very good, not creating anything like horizontally or anything like that, with guys like, I didn't like it. I didn't think that they did enough to disguise what they were doing. And then you bring in a big clunky guy and, with an offensive line that isn't spectacular. I didn't love it. I think that, a quick slant to, Mike Gesicki, who doesn't drop the ball and only makes good things happen. Or even Jalen Waddle, who had a great game. I think either one of those and the Dolphins win that, are able to win that game and, at least push the -3. But they didn't, and, it is what it is. But I do believe that they are the right side this week. I think 9.5. I think they're a live dog. Being at home, getting points against a really bad team like the Falcons. I understand there's still a ton of injury worries. I know that they've added Noah Igbenogany to the questionable list, along with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. Losing Igbenogany, if you saw the way he played last week versus any other guy, is not a loss anyways. I am probably counting on at least one of those guys playing. What I'm hearing is that they believe that both of them have a legitimate shot of playing. I also believe Preston Williams is going to be back for sure. Devontae Parker, I don't know. My fantasy team likes that because I love Preston Williams and I have him on most of my teams. But yeah, 9.5 is a monster number. Expecting Atlanta to come in. Atlanta's still a bad team. Let's not forget Atlanta's a bad team. So expecting Atlanta to come in and beat Miami by 10 points in Miami's barn is silliness. I do think Miami has a very legitimate shot to win this game. I myself have some money on the Miami money line. But me being worried about being a homer, I did not make that an official pick because I felt like last week I let you guys down by taking my team, so I left it off the card. But I do really believe Miami's a live dog this week. And my last play in that is Philly +10. If I like Philly +3, I love Philly +10. For all the reasons I told you that I don't believe in the Raiders, and all the things I like about Philly being a plucky team that works really hard, all those things obviously still come through. This allows me to move it past 3, past 4, past 6, past 7, just like the Miami game, and all the way to 10. Do I think Las Vegas can beat Philly by double digits? Absolutely not. Even if I'm wrong about Philly covering the 3, I think there's no chance that Vegas wins this by 10 or more. So that's my play there. I'll recap right now. Carolina -3 for 2 units. The best number right now is even at 5 dimes. Philly +3 at Las Vegas. The best number it's for 1 unit, sorry. The best number right now is -109 at 5 dimes. San Francisco -4. They are hosting Indy. Best number right now is -104 at Penny. That's a 1 unit play. And my 7-point teaser is moving New England to even, Miami to +9.5, and Philly to +10. That's for 2 units. And the same things I remind you of every single week. If you are having issues with your gambling, if you are being irresponsible, please talk to somebody. Please reach out. You can reach out to me. I'll get you some help. But be smart. Follow a system. Make sure you can afford that system. Only bet with money you can afford to lose. This is a hobby for us. None of us do. Anybody who's watching my video definitely does not do this for a living. And the other thing is, obviously, Barstool. Stay away from the sports book. They're crooks. They're criminals. They're awful human beings. Portnoy is a complete DB. And yeah, he's just literally the worst. If you're not following me on Twitter at CPT_handsome, I do give out some in-game plays. Less this year than last year because I've just had less stuff that I found a ton of value in, but I have given out a few, and sometimes I do have to steal plays before I even post this video because I'm afraid that the line that I won't be able to get the line that I want. I should have done that this week with New England. I knew it was going to move to 7. I just really didn't have time to, I mean, it's a tweet. I should have done it. I didn't do it. I bet it, but I didn't post it on Twitter. That's my fault. So I don't get to use it as a play. At CPT_handsome on Twitter and CaptainHandsomeSports@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out, questions, comments, stuff like that. I do appreciate those of you who watch. Thank you. Be safe. Be smart. Fins up, baby.